Welcome inside episode 655 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains, and it's a Sens game day. Dallas is in town to take on the Sens, who will be without one of their top two centers.
And when one door closes, another one opens. Derek Brassard will enter into the lineup, but where? We'll get into that on this show.
And as we do every Monday, we'll take a glimpse around the world of Sens Prospects. This is the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
I'm Jake Sanderson, and you're listening to Locked On Senators podcast.
I'm Tim Stützle, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen on this Monday, October 24th. The show is free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube, where the best way you can help the show grow. To like every video by simply clicking the thumbs up, subscribing to the Locked On Senators channel, and leaving a comment below. Today, we want to know, is Derek Brassard the guy to replace Josh Norris at second line center? DJ Smith mentioning they're still waiting for the swelling to go down for Josh Norris. Real big loss and unfortunate timing for him.
Huge loss, especially with the Senators carrying momentum of a 3-game win streak here. But this is not exactly a shock, Ross, as we know Josh Norris has had shoulder problems before. And when you see a non-contact shoulder injury like that, and then you see Josh Norris's reaction when he gets down the tunnel, smashing his stick and kicking stuff, you know it's going to be bad. I said it on the postcast. This is likely going to be a timeline that's measured in weeks, not days. And DJ Smith all but confirmed that, saying they're still waiting, but it's going to be a while here. So it looks like the Ottawa Senators are going to have to survive without Josh Norris for quite some time.
So when the injury happened initially and you missed a golden opportunity to make sure everyone knows that Brandon Piller is not a doctor.
Yes, not a doctor.
Not a diagnosis, though. Weeks, eh? That to say, in all seriousness, it just sucks the timing. This is a guy who missed almost 20 games last year with a shoulder injury. If you missed it on Saturday in the win against the Arizona Coyotes, just goes in to snap back a faceoff and went down in a heap of pain. He was able to skate off, and as Pillsy said, was really looking emotional going down the tunnel, kicking sticks. And then DJ Smith said after the game that was tough for him as well. And you know, as a guy like Josh Norris, who's had these injuries before, in college one year and then also last season in the NHL, like again, you don't want to speculate too much, but if he's that upset, he probably thinks that it's not a short-term thing, which is really unfortunate. That line was really starting to click this homestand. Yeah. Ruined to Brinkett at even strength. We know what he brings on the power play. He's going to have to do an out of office note for at least a little while, but he'll come back stronger than ever and be ready to go at that point. Now, this is why you go get a guy like Derek Brassard, a veteran. He's going to be playing in his 952nd regular season NHL game. He played well with those guys in preseason, but Pillsy, this is not preseason hockey.
No, we are into the regular season now. And you know what? I still stand by what I said earlier in the postcast. I still think the correct move would be to elevate Shane Pinto. I know you don't want to break up that third line. It's had good chemistry, and I know Brassard had some decent chemistry with Drew and DeBrincat, but I mean, come on. Shane Pinto is scoring in pretty much every single game he plays in, so I don't understand why you wouldn't elevate him to a second center role when he has been a second center on this team. Their record has been good with a bad roster, so I just thought that made the most sense to me. But if you don't want to disrupt things, that's fine. But when you know Josh Norris is going to be out a while, I would rather have Shane Pinto up and firing on all cylinders sooner rather than later.
Yeah, it's not written in stone, though. So at least if you can start it, you can switch it up. I'm just happy that Brassard's the first guy in over Dylan Gambrell. Get him in the mix. Get him playing games. And I see where DJ Smith's coming from. He mentioned not wanting to disrupt that third line. They're going to play more, though. That, to me, is kind of what reading between the lines saw. And you don't want to take away ice time from Giroux and DeBrincat.
Well, that's just the thing, yeah.
Guy in the middle's not there, but I think that they're going to be just fine. And it looks like Brassard's going to play some net front on the power play. And at first glance, you're like, what? That doesn't really make sense. But in the preseason, he was using the little bumper play.
Yep.
He was setting up goals. So I'm excited to see this opportunity for Derek Brassard. I'm glad his first game is at home. I think that's going to give him a little boost, the energy from the crowd. I'm sure they'll give him some cheers on his first shift tonight. If anyone still has their voices left, game 4 of a 5-game homestand right now. And what an absolute start to the season. We'll get into that a little bit more, but the focus of the show has to be on Josh Norris and hoping he's not out long term. But if he is, I think eventually you elevate Shane Pinto, but you don't have to rush it. We talked in the postcast about how that third line did not look good on the first 2 games of the year in Buffalo, in Toronto. They're rolling right now. I wouldn't touch that. Just let them go. And we even had, I think someone on Twitter wrote to us saying, throw Casty between DeBrincat and Giroux. Right now. I think that's
my Sens Central standout and Martians.
And player of the game. He got the chain from the fellas afterwards.
Yep. I mean, that just goes to show me and Martian, we got an ear on the street here. We know what's going on. And it was a hell of a game by Casty, and you got to love his face-off prowess as he's been dominating, as Ian Mendez pointed out in his article today. But I mean, that's maybe getting a little too excited. Even myself, a Casty stan here, I gotta say, let's keep Casty on the fourth line here. That's where he's clicking.
Yeah, we're obviously tongue-in-cheek on that one. He's like your prototypical fourth-line center. Go in there, bang some bodies, make some plays, put some pucks in the back of the net.
Getting a fight, too. There you go.
100%. So, no, that fourth line, obviously, you're going to leave. The third line, you like to leave. So, I don't mind the move, just putting DeBrincat in, or putting Brassard in with DeBrincat and Giroux, and making sure that the rest of the lines keep clicking. Because obviously the top line there, I didn't realize how much I liked Brady Tkachuk with Tim Stützle. Like, he just adds such a different element to that line, and I think he gives Timmy a little more space out there too.
Yeah, I would agree. And I think just Brady and Timmy have, it seems like, a special relationship off the ice too. So I think they can kind of chirp at each other and motivate each other to do better. So when they're on the same line, I think that really helps the chemistry. And then I love the pair of Stützle and Batherson too, because they're very similar players. Although I would say Batherson kind of adds that defensive element that Timmy is still working on as a young player in the NHL. So overall, that line is very balanced, and they have good chemistry on and off the ice. And they're really clicking lately, as Brady and Drake are having a hell of a start to this season. Oh my God.
To the homestand, each of them with 7 points in the last 3 games. Like, what more can you ask from those guys? And then they're bringing it on the defensive end as well. Drake Batherson with a couple steals last game that really just made me picture our interview with Drake back in 2018, when he brought up that at the scouting combine, he wrote, which player you model yourself after? Mark Stone, before being drafted by Ottawa. So I absolutely love that. Especially, he could have gone with Marchand, like one of the East Coast guys. He's like, no, this Mark Stone character, I like what he brings. And certainly you could argue, and a lot of people were in the tweet I put out at Sens Central, he might already be better than Mark Stone in certain aspects of the game. Nobody can steal pucks like Mark Stone, but the creativity offensively, he's probably got a bit quicker of a first step than Mark Stone. And
Definitely.
Mark Stone's an awkward skater, but he's not slow. He's awkward, but he's not slow anymore. Maybe when he came into the league, he was, but Batherson, I think one word to describe him, smooth. Everything he does, it just feels like it's
crispy, even.
Crispy. The boys are feeling crispy this homestand after a 6-2 win over the Arizona Coyotes. If you want a deeper breakdown of that game, you can find our postcast wherever you get your podcast, and on YouTube, where we have the postcast After Dark, where we continue afterwards. We engage in the comments, and we should also mention congratulations are in order for the tickets for tonight's game. We're sending a pair of people to the game. I absolutely love that. We've got Riley, who won the tickets for her boyfriend, which I think is so cool. So they're going to go together. Calvin and Riley are going to be heading to tonight's game, and we can't wait to see some photos. They picked the tickets up, Pillsy, from my parents' place. So my mom got a little chat with them, and just a couple of young bucks that were really excited that it's people who maybe Calvin told me, he's like, I've only been in the 100 level once. So I'm super fired up that they're going to get the opportunity tonight. And let's hope the Sens give them a good show.
Absolutely. We love sending Sens fans to the games, and not just any, you're not in the nosebleeds. We didn't get you cheap seats, standing room only. No, you're in the 100s. We're hooking you guys up. So that is why, Ross, You subscribe to the show, you put the little bell notifications on, you follow at Sens Central on Twitter so you can be first in on our contest when we do giveaways, so you know when the latest episodes are coming in, when Ross teases the next big interview. You got to stay in the know, and the best way to do that is to follow along with the Locked On Senators podcast.
And the show wouldn't be able to continue each and every day without the great help from our sponsors. Pilsy, why don't you go say a quick word about one of them?
Absolutely. It's SimpliSafe. It's important to keep your home safe in the decade. Over 4 million people have chosen SimpliSafe home security to protect their home. At SimpliSafe, your safety is the only thing that matters. They protect you with cutting-edge security technology, powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who always have your back. With 24/7 professional monitoring, these agents can call you the moment right away when a threat is detected and dispatch police or first responders in an emergency, even if you're not home or can't be reached. So you're always covered. SimpliSafe blankets your home in protection with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door. HD security cameras, so you know you can see what's going on inside and out. And they have motion detectors that can alert you only when a threat is real, and even hazard sensors that instantly detect fires, floods, and other threats. So it's not just break-ins and things like that. You're covered from all angles. You love to see that. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes. Doesn't take long at simplisafe.com/lockedonnhl. And you can save 20% on your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month free. These guys are hooking you up. Visit simplisafe.com/lockedonnhl to learn more. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Welcome back to the Locked On Senators podcast. It's game day. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller. For more, you can follow the show at Sens Central on Twitter, lockedon.senators on Instagram, and be sure to subscribe on YouTube. The postcast will be live tonight. It will be Brandon Piller and at Lalim's Martian taking care of the post-game festivities. We're looking forward to a great game against the Dallas Stars. You can also check out the Locked On Stars podcast, where I joined Dane Lewis today. That is also available on our feed on audio and video platforms. Dallas Stars are an interesting team. We're going to touch on them in just a little moment, and then we're going to wrap up today's show with a look at the world of Sens prospects, where Tyler Boucher continued his torrent pace in the OHL. But Pilsy, I want to talk more about what Josh Norris's absence is going to mean on the man advantage. How would you shake things up? Because we know they've, to a lot of conversation, left to Brinkett and Giroux on PP1 AA. How do you move things around now with Josh Norris's office empty on the left side of the first unit?
Well, I think the key to any good power play, Ross, is a trigger man. You need a finisher because you can pass the puck around all day long in the O-zone if you want. Who cares if you don't have someone that can put it in the net to finish off that play? Josh Norris, notable finisher. He's got his office. He scores on the power play. He knows what to do. Alex DeBrincat, notable finisher. Only one empty net goal so far, though, so he's looking to finish a little bit more here. From what it seems like at Sens practice, Ross, from the updates we've been getting, it seems like DJ Smith has just said, hey, we lost one of our trigger men. Let's just double up on the other one, and I love it. It looks like Alex DeBrincat is going to be a part of both power play units here. Whew, and you tweeted it out, Ross. Run, don't walk, run to betonline.ag and get your Alex DeBrincat anytime goal scores. Or if you're feeling a little frisky, and Ross, I sprinkled a little on these, +2 goals, and I even did a +3 goals on DeBrincat. Yeah, you got to. If he's playing on both power play units here, it's absolutely massive. So I think that's the one thing that we're going to look here. Although Josh Norris is a centerman on the power play, I think all eyes turn now to Alex DeBrincat.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what DeBrincat has in store. He's obviously still at a point per game, 5-5, but you want to see him, and I'm sure he wants to see himself light the lamp a little bit more. And I'm just curious how they're going to shake things out on that unit, because Timmy's been playing his strong side, which is where DeBrincat would usually line up. And it's going to be interesting because you want to keep DeBrincat on his one-timer side. So does Timmy then move over to Norris's vacant side and then shift things around like that?
Yeah, that's definitely something they could look at, because that's the thing. Getting the guys in the right spots is just as important. So it'll be interesting to see how they set this power play up. I do like that they put Brassard on the one unit, because I thought he did really well in the preseason there as kind of your net front bumper guy, because he's someone that can make that quick pass, and he's a veteran guy. We mentioned it, over 900 games played, on the road to 1,000. So he knows how to put the puck away when he's given it in the right spots too. So although you lose arguably one of your top power play guys in Josh Norris, that's the beauty of what the Ottawa Senators did in this offseason, is they shored up their offensive talent, especially when you look at the power play. And although it sucks not having Norris, I'm not in the least bit worried that this power play won't be able to succeed.
So Alex DeBrincat has 11 goals against the Dallas Stars in 22 games. There's only one team that he scored more against, Pilsy.
Wow, that is very surprising.
Yeah, and you know what's even more surprising? It's an Eastern Conference team. Alex DeBrincat has 13 goals in 16 games against Carolina.
Oh, I was going to say Columbus. Wow, okay.
Yeah, but hey, out of all Western Conference teams, which is why obviously I look at that, he's playing the West, playing the Central Division. These two teams would have met a lot when he was in Chicago. And yeah, more goals against Dallas than any other team in the Western Conference, and second most in the National Hockey League. So something to keep an eye on as we head into tonight's game. Something else I'm going to be keeping my eye out is Jake Ottinger. This kid is ridiculously talented. Brady Tkachuk's old teammate at Boston University back in the day. I remember wanting him so bad in the 2017 draft, and he went just before the Senators pick. Ultimately, they take Shane Bowers. That draft doesn't matter until the second and fourth round. But that kid is unbelievable. Let's get into it right now. Game day preview.
Let's do it.
My lookout player, Jake Ottinger, because you're like, okay, he was the only reason that series against Calgary went 7 games last year. He was a man possessed in that game. Like it was overtime, game 7, right?
I'm pretty sure it went all the way. Yeah.
And I mean, Brady probably put some voodoo on him right at the end. He's like, okay, I got to get my brother here passed. But Jake Ottinger's numbers were simply outstanding. And then Dallas's owner notoriously did not want to give these kids with Jason Robertson and with Jake Ottinger long-term deals. So they both settled for bridge deals. I think that's going to burn them down the road, but they might be like, okay, then we'll have Ben off the books. So I get a bit, but this kid, like, there's no doubt in my mind that he's going to be a star for years and years to come. Last year,
a Dallas star or just a general star?
I hate that. 954 save percentage for Dallas in the postseason last year. You're like, oh, he can't get any better. Pilsy, he's 4-0 on the season with a 959 save percentage. He's allowed 5 goals in 4 games on 121 shots against. This kid is a man possessed. And when you look at the goalies who have come to town on this homestand, they haven't had a guy like Jake Ottinger. And no disrespect to Darcy Kemper. I know you have a Stanley Cup freshly in your closet, but he made big saves, but he didn't make all the saves on that playoff run. Jake Ottinger is on a different level. So they got to get to him early. They've scored first and they've scored often in all these games. They got to keep that going here if they want to have success against a stingy team that's really well coached. They obviously moved on from Rick Bowness after last season, and now Pete DeBoer, his resume speaks for itself.
Now, Ross, do we know Ottinger is starting? I would hate for your lookout player to be on the bench.
Well, get this. Usually, Ottawa's been getting the backups over the years, right?
That's why I ask, yeah.
Strangely enough, the Dallas Stars started their backup, Scott Wedgwood, in Toronto.
Yeah, that is a strange move. Yeah, that is strange.
So hometown, your Western Conference team, but like kind of strange to do a favor that early in the year. But yeah, Ottinger played in Montreal on Saturday. But I think he's on today. I'll give you an alternate just in case.
Okay.
Do you want to give yours first so I don't steal it?
Sure. Yeah, I would like to, because I'm going with this guy, Ross, an ageless wonder in Joe
Yes.
Pavelski. Like, he gets the Hattie against Montreal. He's leading the team in points. This is someone, Ross, when Dallas signed him, I think it was a 3-year deal, $7 million per in the offseason a couple years ago. I was looking at that being like, this is a Patrick Marleau situation where for the first 2 years, they're going to love that. And then the third year, they're going to be scrambling to get out of that. No, not even close. I mean, this guy is so good. He puts up points seemingly through every single season he's been in the NHL. And important to note, Ross, you talked about Pete DeBoer, his old coach in San Jose. So they've got a connection there. And DeBoer knows how to use Pavelski, and Pavelski obviously is familiar with his systems. So I don't see any reason why Joe Pavelski isn't going to be a threat against the Ottawa Senators again in tonight's game. So I'm going to be looking out for Joe Pavelski.
Good. You didn't take my guy, but that's a super impressive one. I spoke with Dane Lewis about that on Locked On Stars. Like, his first year in Dallas, albeit shortened with COVID, where it canceled the end of the season, I think he had like 30 points. And you're like, oh, was that like an okay signing of a guy who's just kind of fizzling out at the end of his career?
Yeah.
He got 88 points in his last 87 games going back to last year. Like, this guy is a warrior, and he's played pretty well against Ottawa in his career. So I will be looking out for him. But my backup is Miro Heiskanen. How can it not be? Get this stat. So far this year, he's been on the ice for 10 Dallas Stars goals and none against.
Wow. I mean, when you look at Dallas's numbers, though, they're one of the best teams in the league in goal differential here. So I think, look at 20 goals for, 8 goals against. Like, wow. So when your top defenseman is playing that good, that'll help out those numbers.
100%. The Dallas Stars, we expect them to line up in this game. I'll let you know right now. It's going to be Rupe Hintz at center between Jason Robertson and Joe Pavelski. The second line is Tyler Seguin between Mason Marchment and Dennis Gurianov. The third line, Wyatt Johnston, a rookie who came in after a red-hot OHL season. He's on the third line with the captain, Jamie Benn, and Ty Dellandrea. And the fourth line is Luke Glendening, Radek Faksa, and Joel Kiviranta. On defense, Miro Heiskanen and Colin Miller. Ryan Suter, watching him play may as well put you to sleep. Get the melatonin out. Yanni Hakanpää and Esa Lindell with Niels Lundqvist, of course, acquired from the Rangers right before the season. And Dane had great things to say about Lundqvist. He got 3 points in his first 5 games.
They paid a big price to get him, Ross. First and third, I believe.
Yep. Conditional first, but I think it'll hit. But that's a big price to pay. But he's 22 years old, and he's already starting to really fill out and get those points up as a defense or an offensive defenseman. Which basically Dane told me he's a poor man's John Klingberg, and that they hope he can develop into him. Basically.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think with the play of Miro Heiskanen, it made it a lot easier for the Stars just to let go of Klingberg. Like, when they didn't trade him at the deadline, I was pretty shocked because you could have got a real good return for him. And they knew it was very clear they weren't going to sign him. Like, I think Elliot Friedman said the two sides were apart millions of dollars, like 3 or 4 millions of dollars apart in contract negotiations. So it clearly was not going to happen. So they take a gamble and just let him go. And then they replace him with a younger guy in Niels Lundqvist, like you mentioned there, and then hope that Heiskanen keeps going. I actually really like this decor for Dallas. I know you hate Ryan Suter, but
worst player in the league.
Hakanpää that's a guy I wish the Ottawa Senators looked at. Yeah, I love the way he plays. And Colin Miller, I feel like, is a guy that always gets tossed aside. And he lost a bunch of years in Buffalo, it seemed like. But that's a guy that I thought the Ottawa Senators might take a look at too. So this decor, although it's not as star-studded as it used to be without Klingberg, is still really good depth and balance.
We'll get into keys to victory, but first, your locked-on player for the Ottawa Senators, who we expect to run the exact same lineup. So I didn't make the card today. We'll get back to that for the next game on Thursday when they wrap up their homestand against Minnesota. But let's see if I can do it right off the top of my head. At this point, I probably should be able to.
There's only one change.
Tim Stützle in between Brady Tkachuk and Drake Batherson. Derek Brassard between Alex DeBrincat and Claude Giroux. Shane Pinto on the third line between Tyler Mott and Mathieu Joseph. And the fourth line is Mark Kastelik, Parker Kelly, and Austin Watson. On defense, Shabbat and Zub, Sanderson and Hamonic, and the Third pair is Brandstrom with Holden. We expect Anton Forsberg to start, and we will until told otherwise, as he's played in every game, every minute of the year so far this season. Pilsy, who are you locked on to tonight?
Well, we already touched on it, so I won't get too much into depth here, but it's Alex DeBrincat. I mean, if you get a chance to play on both power play units, you've got a new centerman in between you and Derek Brassard instead of Josh Norris. I'm very intrigued to see how that's going to go. And sure, he's only got that one empty netter, but it's not for lack of trying. He's putting up big shots. He's getting in the mix. He's still getting assists. He's still being a big part of this play and a big part of this offense. So I'm going to be locked on to Alex DeBrincat.
I'll give you my locked on player after a quick break, and then we'll go to keys to victory and a look around the world of Sens prospects. All that's coming up. We'll be right back on the Locked On Podcast Network. Welcome back to Locked On Senators. I'm Ross Levitan alongside Brandon Piller, and we got to mix up the intro music. We'll do that over the next week or two. But
I don't hate it, Ross. It's kind of nice. Yeah, but I think I was saying to you, I would rather go for some like fun like hip hop beats in between rather than like hard rock. But we'll brainstorm it for sure.
Call Dr. Dre. He'll make us a beat. How about that?
Yeah. We'll see if he's busy.
All right. You might remember the last time Ottawa played Dallas. It was in Texas. And Cowboys defensive tackle and Ottawa boy, Neville Gallimore was at the game. I've been trying so hard to get this guy on the show.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Cowboys PR, please get back to me.
Yeah, we're working. We're still waiting to hear back from the Dallas Cowboys and Dr. Dre.
Jerry Jones, answer my emails.
Come on.
That's hilarious. Obviously, that was a fun side story in last year's game. Ottawa went 2-0 against Dallas last season, and both games were in the first 7 of the year. That means 2 of Ottawa's 4
that's right.
20 games were both against Dallas.
Yeah, but I mean, you're looking at the records here, Ross, and the Dallas Stars are 4-0-1, so you don't exactly love to see that, but may I remind you
3-0-0 in their last 3 games, the Ottawa Senators.
Yes, and the last time an undefeated team came to Ottawa, the Boston Bruins, they got whacked 7-5. So the Senators have no issue dealing teams that are undefeated in regulation their first regulation loss. So hopefully they can do that again tonight.
The Ottawa Senators they did at the end of last season. They did. I mean, 3 of them took extra time, an OT win and 2 shootouts, but Ottawa did have a 4-game win streak at the end of last year. We're at 2 of them, Pilsy. The game against Montreal, and they followed that up with the win over New Jersey, where Drake Batherson sent Tyler Smith into the shadow realm before ending that game late in overtime. But tonight's game against the Dallas Stars, my locked-on player for your Ottawa Senators, and I'm thinking I'm going to keep saying it until we get Scott Wedgwood in the starters then, by the way.
I had a weird feeling, Ross. I don't know. I can't describe it. I just knew that was going to happen to you.
My lookout player. My goodness.
Good thing I had your back there and let you know to have a backup. Otherwise, oh boy, would that have been embarrassing, Ross.
Wow. I can't. We'll tell you Scott Wedgwood's numbers against the Ottawa Senators, but that actually makes me feel really good about tonight's game. That makes me feel real good.
It doesn't. I don't feel real good, but I feel better because as we did touch on it quickly, Scott Wedgwood still having a decent season, and he's been a nice pickup for that Dallas Stars organization that has had a carousel of goalies. Like you look at Holtby, Bishop, Khudobin, like their whole goaltending plan has just been crazy. So they finally have stability in Ottinger and Wedgwood.
I wish I could do like a rewind where my lookout player, all confident, is Jake Ottinger. Yeah, sick call, Ross. Although
looking up for him on the bench.
Hey, my Levy lock hit again with the DeBrincat goal on Thursday night, so I might have a Levy lock for you guys today. Follow along at Send Central for that. But my locked on player is Jake Sanderson because I'm just having so much fun watching this guy.
Yep.
Evolve into a top 4 NHL defenseman that we said all summer we're putting too much expectation on this kid, and he just continues to impress me each and every game. So I'm looking out locked on him tonight for a real exciting. I'm really excited to see offensively when he's going to pop, because it's a matter of if not when he scores his first goal.
I mean, the points are there though. He's still, and this is what
Primaries last game.
Yep, this is what I anticipated with Jake Sanderson. You're not going to get the goals, but you're going to get a lot of great assists, like that pass to set up Brady Tkachuk. Oh my goodness. Mwah.
Shades of Erik Karlsson, dare I say.
I'll allow it. Yeah, I'll allow it.
Like, I wish we had a better angle, like the alternate angle, so that we would be able to see how close it was at the blue line.
It was so close.
He shot that puck from his own blue line.
Yep.
And next thing you know, the camera pans and Tkachuk's at the hash marks.
Yeah, it was crazy. Like, you could, like, that is perfectly executed. And Brady said later, like, he's just thrilled to share the ice with Jake Sanderson. I love that quote. Sharing the ice with him is just a thrill. Like, wow.
That's awesome. So I'm locked on Jake Sanderson tonight. You're locked on Alex DeBrincat. You have any Pilsies parlays or?
No parlay. I'm still 0-2, although I did hit the over and Sens moneyline parlay, but we're not counting that. I didn't tweet it out to the good people, so still looking for that first win. But Ross, the Ottawa Senators went 0-2 to start, and now they're 3-2, so I'm anticipating a similar trend for Pilsy's parlay when it comes back.
Pilsy, what is your key to victory for the Ottawa Senators in tonight's game?
My key to victory, and this is a massive key to victory, Ross. The Dallas Stars, like I mentioned, that goal differential 20-8, but where the glaring stat is for me, and I don't know why I'm circling it on my computer as if you can see it, but you cannot. But imagine me circling this big number. Power play percentage, 35.3% on the power play, Ross. That's absolutely sick. And 92.3% on the PK. So if the Sens are going to make hay in this game, they got to do it 5-on-5, and they got to do whatever they can to contain the Dallas Stars power play, because we talked about what's that? You want your number of your combined penalty kill 100. And power play to be 100. Well, not a math guy, but whatever 95 plus. I lost my spot here. 95 plus 92, sorry, Jesus. 92.3 plus 35.3. Yeah, I can't do that math quickly, but that is well over 100. I can tell you that for free. So this Dallas Stars team has been absolutely crushing it on the special teams. So yeah, my key to victory is dominate on 5-on-5. I think that's the only way you're going to beat this team, because with good goaltending and good special teams, it's tough sledding.
Wait, are you saying good goaltending with Scott Wedgwood?
Yeah.
Okay. My key to victory is get to him early. I want the Wedgwood chant.
Yeah,
rolling.
That's a good two-syllable goalie chant. Or two-syllable goalie chant.
Easier than Ottinger. Yeah, Wedgwood is way better. I want to be hearing that. And again, we love when everyone sends us their boots on the ground posts on Twitter. Make sure you tag Sens Central. Automatic retweet. We absolutely love that. Scott Wedgwood, I should say, though, is 2-0 against the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, he's
good,
what? Man. Don't disrespect his name. He is good.
Dude, he's 2-0 against the Sens. He's also got a 4.0 goals against average in those games. Do you know why?
How many of those games are with the Arizona Coyotes?
Both
Tell
of
me
them.
that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The first one, he let in 5 on 46 in Arizona. And then in Ottawa, he actually played really well. 40 saves on 43 shots. Ottawa peppered Arizona. I can't believe they lost both those games. They had a combined 89 shots on goal. Quick math. Boom, boom, cha-ching there. But no, I think that you have to get to him early and just go from there. I know he played well in Toronto. They lost in overtime. He made 40 saves in that game as well. But I think you just have to keep it rolling. Like, the only time they didn't score first this season is against Washington, and it took a 5-on-3 power play against them to get it. So maybe I'll say discipline, but I love how they're scoring first, and it just changes the whole dynamic of how you play, especially without Norris. Like, they're not going to have as much offensive pop. And fair enough, taking 35 goal score in 66 games out of the lineup. I think that you want to score first, and then, no offense to everyone going to the game tonight, you've heard the horn 18 times in 3 games. Just, cradle this one to bed. I wouldn't mind. Play the game like Ryan Suter's played his whole career. Just boring pivots off the glass. just like lull this game to bed. Dallas is on a long road trip, and it's continuing after this one. They've already played Montreal and Toronto, and they're staying in the East after this game. Just score first, cradle at home. That's my key to victory.
Yeah, I think the under is going to be the way to go in this game. I think we're going to see a really tight, hard-checking game, and both these teams are coming in hot and meeting each other. So it's going to be very interesting to see how things go here. And I believe, Ross, Anton Forsberg not on the ice for practice. However, I think DJ Smith and Zach Barker just like, you know what, you're good. Take the mornings off and come in.
Eric Carlson. It's the Eric Carlson maintenance day. Remember that run where he literally didn't practice for like 3 months?
I mean, some players you don't need it, and it's not just being like, oh, you're elite, you don't need practice. Like we talk about practice. It's just that if your coaches can trust you, and that's a conversation you have. Like, look, do you need the practice? Do you need to get warmed up? No, I'm good. All right, fine.
Remember when Eric Carlson was almost traded to Dallas? That was always one of the teams that it felt like was in the mix.
Really? No, I don't remember that. I always thought it was Lightning, Vegas, and Sharks. I didn't know Dallas was in the mix.
Dallas was in the mix for him, and they just couldn't make it happen. I think Ottawa wanted Heiskanen.
Yes, actually, I do remember. That's why I don't remember, because it was a quick, we want Heiskanen, no, end of conversation.
Probably a pretty good call for the Dallas Stars. But hey, hashtag Sens Abroad. We got to give Eric Carlson a little shout out. 6 points in 8 games to start the season for a brutal team. Pretty impressive. He had a great goal, game winner at Madison Square Garden. That guy is still showtime. So I know the injuries have slowed him down. He's playing on a brutal team. Sens won the trade, but he's always going to be an electric talent. And in my opinion, a Hall of Famer. There's no Norris Trophy winners, not in the 2-time or more Norris Trophy winners, not in the Hall of Fame, except for Eric Carlson and Duncan Keith. And we know Duncan Keith's the first ballot with the 3 cups, 2 gold medals. How are you? But I think Eric Carlson's right there, the way he kind of modernized how defensemen play. And there's a lot of guys who can contribute now the same way that he did. Obviously, Cale Makar being the cherry on top of that conversation. From Sens Abroad to Sens Prospects, Pilsy, who impressed you the most when you looked around at the point totals this weekend?
There's a bunch of guys, Ross, but you know what?
Disher?
Yeah, definitely the Disher did good. But I'm going to start off with Tyson Dick, Ross, as he had a goal and an assist in a 6-0 UMass win on Saturday. And he's looking pretty good here. 3 points in 5 games to start his NCAA career. That's courtesy of our guy at Sens Prospects. So for a 7th round pick coming into the NCAA, he started off hot. So I'm going to give a quick first shout out to Tyson Dick.
Okay. All right. With the University of Massachusetts under former Sens assistant coach Greg Carvel, who's the head coach there. And next season, he's going to be joined as well by Theo Wahlberg. He's going to Ohio State.
Ohio, right.
It was, there's another guy from this draft, Cameron O'Neill, guest of this show.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
We spoke to about Greg Carvel. There are so many Sens prospects. I don't know how at Sens Prospects on Twitter keeps up with it, but he's back. Last year, he was a new dad. He was, maybe not posting as much.
He's looking after his own prospect, Ross. He doesn't have time for Sens Prospects.
He's back. So it's great to see him posting clips. And he had that great note on Levi Merrilainen, how he was red hot. This weekend wasn't as good for him. Went 1-1, let in 6 goals in 2 games. Whatever. They were shut out.
It happens.
He could have let in 1 in that last game. They still lose that game. So still good numbers on the year. 10 games, .923 save percentage. But I'm a little nervous about Oliver Johansson. And maybe it's early, but he's lighting it up. 5 points in 4 games with J20, right? Then he goes up with Timra with the SHL, and you're like, okay, he's playing in the top league. He's a little bit undersized, skilled, but undersized, and he's not getting ice time. So he signs an extension with Timra, but then gets loaned to the Allsvenskan, the same league that Philip Nordberg is now playing in full time. It looks like he's staying up there, which is another story. But he's only got 0 points.
He's only got 0 points.
Only 0. Yeah, I wanted to tease that a little bit. Now, they aren't showing his ice time in this league.
Oh, boy.
But I'd like to see a little more production than zeros across the board.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I kind of forgot about Johansson there. So, yeah, he has been quiet.
Yeah, 100%. That's about all we have to say about him. With Philip Nordberg, though, yeah, it's good to see. He's averaging more and more ice time. He's up to about 12 minutes per game over his last 3 playing in the Allsvenskan. So anything that improves his development is good by me, because obviously you trade away your top 2 picks in this draft. You want
Yeah.
the guy who you finally do go up and select to bring something to the table. But really, the star of the show of the 2022 draft, there's probably 2 of them right now. I'll let you touch on the guy in Kitchener, but
Nice.
our boy Oscar Pettersson, no points this weekend. Still had 5 shots on goal in the 2 games, but he still has 10 goals, 18 points in 15 games. So really like what we're seeing out of Pistol Pete Pettersson over in the all in the J20 national team. So yeah, would we like to see him move up to the SHL a little bit? Sure. Rogla is a really good team, but I like the production that we're seeing out of him.
Yeah, me too. And speaking of production, Thomas Hamara continues to produce, Ross. He's got 6 points in 8 games. And although it pains me to say, his Kitchener Rangers did defeat the Guelph Storm in overtime. He picked up an assist there, but he also picked up a major penalty for slew footing. And at Sens Prospect mentioned there could be a suspension coming up here. So that's something you don't love to see. Slew foot, an absolute greasy play in hockey. And typically it's not an accident. You do that on purpose. It's premeditated sometimes. So hopefully that's not a habit we see continue, as we saw PK Subban got into a slew foot season last year. I think there was like 5 consecutive slew foots by him. So you don't want him having that habit. But other than that, he's been putting up points and helping the Kitchener Rangers.
Yeah, 100%. He's up to 6 points in 8 games on the season. All right, we saved our boy for penultimate here, because I do want to talk about the disher, but Tyler Boucher continues to be an offensive weapon. And if you haven't been down to the Civic Center TD place yet, what are you waiting for? This team is a complete wagon. Not only does Tyler Boucher have 6 goals in 7 games, but the 67s haven't lost a game yet this year.
9-0. It's crazy.
Unbelievable.
Yeah,
Great.
so definitely Tyler Boucher, you can say he's feeling comfortable. And we got to say it again, Ross. It's so cool that he gets to play junior in the city of the NHL team that drafted him. I think that's got to be such an experience, because he's going to get a little flavor, a little taste, a little amuse-bouche of what the city of Ottawa can be like.
Who is the last player to develop with the 67s and play for the Ottawa Senators? Trivia. I think a lot of people are going to get this one right away.
Yeah, not me.
Cody Ceci.
Oh, okay. Ceci was actually, I was just about to say it, I promise.
How about right before that?
Before that?
Yeah, this is going to be kind of a blast from the past name. Not too long ago, 2011 draft.
Yeah, I don't got that.
Shane Prince. Remember that name?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. He's been playing the KHL for the last number of years. All right, postcast coming up after tonight's game. The Dallas Stars are in Ottawa, 7 p.m. Eastern puck drop. And then you can come on to our YouTube channel, which is a perfect time to ring the bell. Beside when you hit subscribe, you can hit the bell, because I'm not sure when I upload the scheduled tweet or the scheduled for the YouTube, I'm not sure, because sometimes it says like starting soon. I'm not seeing that on YouTube. So we always give it 1 minute. We're playing the elevator music and waiting for people to join right away. We put it out on Twitter at Sens Central and on Instagram, lockedon.senators. But that's why you ring the bell, so that right when we go live, boom, it'll come, and you'll be able to join, because we are having a ton of fun with the postcast. And we're still refining it, but I like the new format, Pillsy, where we each give our bingo, bango, bongo hot takes right off the bat, Send Central standouts, and then we interact with a YouTube exclusive with all of the fans.
And I want to touch on that quickly, Ross. Also, a new part of our YouTube is we've included super likes, super chats, and there's one more super. But we had our first one, Ross, and I was looking at it. If you guys want to support the show, feel free. Do as you please. We don't demand or beg for anything. But we had a super chat comment. A listener gave $5 to the show. So hey, everything helps out the show, and that helps us out a bunch. So if you want to make sure your chat in the comment is recognized and we get to it, give it a little couple shekels in there for the super chat, and we'll make sure to do that.
100%. And then there's some comments you should go see as well when you're on our YouTube page. There's this one guy specifically. Thank you for your continued support. what an absolute troll job we've got in the comments. So go make sure you're letting him hear it. But we also want to thank Cheryl Pounder, who was on our show on Friday. What a wealth of knowledge. And I can't believe we didn't ask her why she's not working with the Sens yet. That was a comment asked. I mean, she's got the resume. She could help in player development. Just saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, she's got a good job at TSN, so that helps.
The Sens loss is our gain at
exactly.
home.
That's the thing. Everyone's pushing so hard for that. Meanwhile, I'm like, no. Let's just keep that a secret for now, because Cheryl Pounder is so awesome on the broadcast, and if she started working with the Sens, that would be less and less we got to see and hear from her. So for now, I'm on team TSN for Cheryl Pounder, because I don't want her to leave the broadcast anytime soon.
Any final thoughts on today's show, Pilsy?
Go Sens, go. I mean, they're on a 3-game win streak. Ross, coming up is the Dallas Stars, undefeated in regulation. If the Toronto Maple Leafs can beat you, anyone can. So hopefully that gives the Ottawa Senators a big boost here.
So my final thought is going to be the good word of Shawarma Palace is spreading. Did you see another College of Sports media grad, just like you and I, Faisal Kamiza, just tweets out, no context, just said, Shawarma Palace is the best.
I mean, what context do you need, Ross?
Unbelievable. That's awesome. We love our friends over at Shawarma Palace. We'll talk to you more about them tomorrow, but we'll see you next in the postcast after a 4-2 win for the Ottawa Senators. Calling it right now. 4-2 win. 4-2 win for the Ottawa Senators, and we'll talk in the postcast with our buddy at Laleem's Martian. But for today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.